Good morning. Last year I presented after sales. After sales isn't a niche business. It's very much a process that everybody uses. It's otherwise known as customer service after you sell a product, but it's also about customer satisfaction, and that's one of the things I want to focus on this year is data and the importance of data to after sales, but also to every business. All of your businesses need data to grow and grow profitably. The other purpose of my presentation is to really utilize my experience to show how data is important to any business, and I can prove it with the record that both Christina and I did when we worked together in Alimac. And we achieved a lot of success, a lot of revenue growth, 600% growth over 15 years, a 600% growth of gross profitability over 15 years, and a 13% CAGR increase in net profits. So that's CAGR meaning every year, year on year for 15 years, it was a 13% growth year on year. What drove that was a process that we did globally, using the same process, using the same people, and I'll talk a lot about people today because that's the starting point. So that's the basis of the presentation. 2023, I talked about the focus of after sales. I won't spend too much time on this, but there are four main areas. It generates customer loyalty. Interactions with customers after you've sold the product is more important to the business than the actual sale of the unit. In capital equipment, I showed a graph last year which showed a 30-year product life cycle. 25% of the revenue in that 30 years came from the new sale. So the rest came from after sales. And what's also important is you're selling to the customer uptime. You're also, with that comes a trust, and over time they repeat business. It's barriers to entry. If it's done well, it creates customer confidence and loyalty. High income and profitability. As I said earlier, it generates 75% of all revenue over a 30-year period. And the average GM is very, very high. So it's a win-win situation for the business. But as I said earlier, after sales is not unique. It applies to everybody. When you sell a product, you have to give service to the customer. Use that opportunity to generate profit. I talked about business strategy last year and the key benefits. I won't go through those, but you can see that the key benefits are immense. So getting it right and doing it properly means that you're going to build a very profitable business, as I've done in the past. So this year, 2024, it's all about data analysis. Using that data to increase sales and also profitability. So I'll run through a few slides, and it will give an indication of the approach to be taken. So why is data and digitalization so important? You have to forgive the slides, they've for some reason they've changed. But data is the stabilizer for all marketing and selling. So if you research the right information, you can use it effectively in your marketing strategy and how you actually sell into the markets. Which customers have your products by type and age and location? For a global business, that's very important. When I joined Alimac, as an example, they didn't know where the products were. So there was no focus on selling. So the first approach was to actually identify in which countries all the products were, the age profile. Because you have a product offer which is not just service and parts, but it's also modernization. So the older the product, the more revenue you can make because you're basically modernizing the old product. And that's key in terms of product development. Data allows improvements in customer satisfaction. Why? Well, you report on the customer's product install base. From there, you target the low-hanging fruit. What can you sell quite quickly to generate profitability? You can then build and train your sales force. Your sales force are actually the service engineers. They have daily contact with the customers. Customers like people who they can trust. And if the service engineer is the only person they see on a daily basis, it's very important that you get the right people. Use customer relationship management systems to optimize customer satisfaction. Use the data by customer to get feedback on what they think. That's really important going forward, because if you don't know how they feel, if it's negative, you can't develop the business. So use it. Turn after-sales customer service into a management process. Predict customer needs, and the opportunities using that data. Monitor customer feedback, like I said earlier, and their reactions. But more importantly, act upon what they say. Don't just listen, do. If you don't do, you won't be successful. Monitor the customer machine performance. This is something to do with digitization. We had a product called A3, which was attached to every hoist, every lift, to actually monitor performance and assist customers in scheduling preventative maintenance. So rather than them doing it, using our product, we were able to turn the customer onto the benefits of using our offer. What I would say, for the first 3 or 4 years, we didn't really know what the customer wanted. And I think that's an important note to make. It's one thing thinking that you gather the information, but if you're gathering the wrong thing, then you're not going to gain anything, and you end up. Use CRM data, look at the install base, and utilize it through your people, and stay ahead of the customer as their needs change, but you need to be in line with those needs changed. This is the marketing plan, so I won't go through that again, but the data drives the marketing plan, and it's essential for business development growth. There are 4 main areas for you to remember. You've got to know your market. If you don't know your market, you can't develop a product offer that the customer wants, and you can't develop a service offer that the customer needs. If you've got the right information, the right data, you can actually sell and build customer relations. Without it, you can't. And that applies to every business, all of your businesses. So that's the importance of data. Know your market. If you don't, you're in trouble. Data supports 2 key areas needed for success. The first, the bedrock, are people. Everybody talks about people and why they're so important, but you've got to have the right people in the first place. If you don't, it's going to fail. They need a quality focus to satisfactorily address and solve problems. They need to be organized and structured. They need to understand why it's important to keep in touch with customers. They need to care about people, all people, not just the organization, but more importantly, the customer. And customers have to feel that. And most importantly, they need to have the right attitude in what they do at all times. Don't just say it, be it. And that's really important. So if you've got the right people, through the data that you've gathered, you analyze it, and you look to satisfy the customer. Identify what data is important to follow for customer satisfaction, the processes that you'll work with to ensure you meet the company's objectives, which in the main is profitable growth, and you only get profitable growth through satisfied customers. So the two are very much interrelated. Use that data and technology to improve on where you are and perform constant customer contact and reviews. Use your technicians in a good way to actually develop those customer contacts. Engineers are very, very important to the business, or anyone who has day-to-day contact with the customer. So those are the two important pieces. Always, and this is the important message, always use your people to sell to customers using the value of the data. There are 3 essentials to avoid failure. Data, it drives everything in the after-sales organization. It drives the marketing plan. Like I said, know your market. Understand unit populations, buyer behaviors, buyer attitudes, talk to the customer. Search for the bad stuff as much as the good stuff. Because if you know what's going wrong, you've got a chance of feeding back into the organization and you can develop from there. Look at the products that they're buying and not. What they're not buying is an opportunity for another department. If they're not buying parts or they're not buying service, take it on a customer-specific basis and develop it with the people in the organization. And that naturally follows what they're buying and not buying. Use that data to develop. You know, data is at the heart of the operation. People, as I said, quote, focus, organized, structured, care about all employees and customers, and the right attitude. That's key. Have the best people. And if you don't have the best people, you have to either train them, develop them, or look to replace for the benefit of them, but also for the benefit of the company and the customer. They're the three essentials to avoid failure. Always have the customer in mind, understand them, and use the data that you've gathered to develop that customer base. Make the customer happy. Thank you.